Welcome to another episode of the State of the Bulldogs. For the first time, we are officially doing a post-game show. Tay Berry is going to be leading it off for us this football season. Tay, it's awesome to have you back. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to be back. It's been when you called me to ask me to do this, it's pretty exciting. I couldn't say no. So I know
Well,
I couldn't say no because it was something different. And I was like, hey, maybe since I'm away from the field and I'm not coaching or anything like that, I can stay involved in it. It's a great way to stay involved.
Yeah.
So I was very excited about this opportunity. And I thank you guys for actually having me on here. So I mean, I'm ready for it and I'm excited for this whole season.
What's funny, Tay, is, Grant, you may have been aware. I certainly was not aware. Tay, I didn't realize that you coached for Samford last year after you had graduated. If I had known that, I would have texted you a whole lot sooner because I was like, what? I mean, I think we should just have Tay because we liked having you on the show. And then lo and behold, you're like the most clued in person. So it all just worked out well. Unfortunately, what did not work out well was the opening game for Samford this year. We were all there. And before we kind of get into it, I just want to hear general thoughts on West Georgia itself. The university, Carrollton, the town where it's located. Any just, impressions?
I can go. I mean, as I was on the way up there, I mean, I've seen the exit going to Atlanta multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first time actually getting off on that exit. And I was like, all right, where I'm going. It's a little town. Carrollton's a small town. I get there.
Small town.
As we're arriving, we're looking like, hey, they got makeshift stoplights. All right, they got stoplights that's being held up. They're not even. So I'm like, all right, I can tell that this is a town that's full of. That school is pretty interesting because I mean, where their like sports facilities are, it's a lot of room. I don't know how big the campus actually is, but it looks like it's huge.
A lot of room.
And it looked like West Georgia is the land, like I guess Carrollton is West Georgia.
Yeah,
so I would guess what I would say. So that was very impressive. And that was like my first impression on it was is exactly what I thought. Small town with the college in the middle of it. So hey, and when you go to small towns with the college in the middle of it, the first thing that comes to their mind, all they can do is play sports. And I mean, so
this is also true, Tay. Because there's no distractions.
So that's what I'm saying. They had some ballers, and I've known West Georgia when they was D2 before they made the transition over. They've always had some pretty good players.
Do you know you're in small town Georgia too? As soon as you pull in, the first store you see is the West Georgia liquor store. I'm like, oh, okay, you know you're in small town at this point.
That's what I said. So like, so me and two other Samford alumni, I told you, like I told Sam, Joe and Peyton, they rolled up with me, and two others. So they was like, man, time we pull in here, it was like, where we at, man? And then Joe was like, I couldn't go to. Joe's like, no, I can go to school like this. He's like, there's nothing right here. I was like, bro, they got a liquor store sitting right there. So I'm like, hey, that's the first thing it says.
First store, But
buckle up.
I was like, but these guys can play some football if the one thing you see is literally a liquor store right there.
I was like, I knew as we was getting in there, that the atmosphere was going to be like a legit atmosphere. With, I mean, when you're in those towns, it's just like I date back to me being from Mississippi. Like Scuba, Mississippi, where East Mississippi is, there's nothing there but East Mississippi. Yeah. So those fans go out there and those guys can play ball. So you can't. It's just like in West Alabama and Livingston, Alabama. So like those schools always have some, like they have some hidden talent, and you just got to go up, like hidden gems. You got to go up there and find it.
It was a good crowd. I was surprised at how many people. I mean, granted, on the away side, there weren't. Samford brought a good number, but I don't know, especially whenever they would score and you would hear the roar of the crowd. You're like, dang, all right, this is
what I remember pointed out was the was it the wolf howl, like the wolf howl?
Yeah,
that was legit. I like that. So like the wolf howl was legit, and
I liked it as you said at night, like it's cool at night.
It kind of reminded me of like Friday Night Lights playing. I went to school. Our mascot was Jaguars in high school. Yeah. And so you ought to like when something happened, this big old Jaguar crowd come through and like that's pretty legit.
That is good. All right, guys. So let's get to the game, right? I hope everybody who attended the game last night was able to park on time. So yeah, that was right. So we're gonna start off with the segment: the good, the bad, and the ugly. So we're gonna give one or two good things, one or two bad things, and then one or two ugly things. Hopefully, near the end of the season, it's just the good and the bad, and there is no more ugly. We shall see. But needless to say, last night was not the case. So Grant, let's start with your good. What was something good that you saw last night?
Something good I saw was Brendan Jenkins. We wanted him to step up and be another guy, build off that strong freshman year to kind of be that number one receiver. Had that big touchdown catch on the double move in the second quarter score. He finished with 4 catches, 81 yards, and 1 TD. So for him stepping up, be that big number one receiver was huge, especially stepping up in that big play. That Samford really needed a quick score after West Georgia scored in the third quarter. So I think I'll go with that one with Brendan as my highlight for sure.
I like that. Tay?
Oh, I mean, I guess I go with QC.
Yeah.
Being a part of Samford, being a Samford alumni, and actually seeing the development of Quincy. Quincy is a guy a lot of people probably don't know is a true walk-on story. It's probably, I would say, the greatest walk-on story that I personally saw. There's been a lot of walk-ons that have been great athletes. One of my best friends, Peyton, was a walk-on when he came to Samford. Chandler Smith was also a walk-on in that class. We was all in the same class, and he's another one that's probably one of the greatest walk-ons that I've seen personally. But
this is a bold claim, Tay. It's a bold claim with all those names. Dang, man.
So Quincy, and like I've always been like, I've tried to be like a mentor to Quincy because I told him, playing quarterback, coming in, he brings a different value to the game. Yeah. So I just knew when I was excited to see what he would do in his first game. I know the abilities he has as a football player and what he can bring to the game at Samford. That he can bring a wide variety of different things. He can throw it. As we saw, he threw for 302 yards, and he ran for 100. So he put 400 yards total offense through him. So he was a guy that really stood out to me. So I would say that would be my good. It's for sure. And I'm pretty sure that's probably a lot of people good was to see the
Quincy did not lose the game for us.
No,
he was
Quincy
doing everything he could do to win.
Yeah, and he can do everything he can do to win. Also with pressure on his back, and that's what I'm saying. He can get a little pressure on him, and he can do it with his feet. So he can get out and make a play. He can extend the play along, like as you brought up the double move. And if you look at the double move, he pumped, stepped up in the pocket and moved, and then he just let it ride. And
his buying time in the pocket on that play was especially impressive. But yeah, I had Quincy as my good and the receiving core. I thought the receiving core did well, making enough plays, getting the extra 1 or 2 yards on those little quick screens, which are crucial to get to 2nd and 5 and 3rd and 3. So that was the skill guys on offense and Quincy were the good, bar none.
And Quincy too on that second touchdown. Samford had 1st and goal from like the 4 and basically took 4 plays to score on the 4th and goal. Quincy's not the biggest guy, obviously, but still fighting his way, taking a big hit at the goal line, still finding a way to get in and score when Samford really needed a touchdown there in the second quarter.
He took some hits.
Yeah.
And as a quarterback, Quincy took some hits, and it's just to show that his toughness. And like I've always told him, I was like, listen, Quincy, I might be gone, but when your time comes, this team will be yours. And he got a taste of that. He got the name Quincy Touchdown Critton when I was there in during the SoCon when he came in, when he stepped up and he the game he stepped in for Mercer, he made some that was like not key. That was some crucial plays to help us win and help my season and help me finish my season off on a great note. It's just
the Mercer game made him a legend, and he builds off of that. So
and then Peyton was talking about that game this morning, like just as a whole. I was like, whenever I do have kids, that game. I want to have that game on the DVD that I can have my kids sit down and watch that game and like. We just
why can we have watched that game last night? Why did we have to watch the Wolves?
I thought we was gonna have one of those moments to where we came back and it was going to come down to the wire. I mean, I knew it was going to come down to the wire. All games should going to come down to the wire. You got to fight for 4 quarters straight. And I know Coach Hatcher always say is like the first quarter you have more time to make up for mistakes. The fourth quarter you don't have as much time to make up for mistakes, and that's. And those moments where they will hurt you, and we saw last night that mistakes hurt us in the late in the game, and we really couldn't recover from. I know the mistakes in the beginning we kind of recovered and made up.
It's an interesting, it's a correct philosophy. Just pulled up the drive chart. We did not score in the fourth quarter. Did not score in the fourth quarter. Had the blocked field goal, obviously. That ain't going to win you a football game. So let's get in the end zone. Let's get to the bad. There was, unfortunately, a bevy of options. Tay, we'll start with you.
Let me see. I mean, I'll start with the bad. All right, well, my bad is just I kind of want to go to the defensive route. Okay. So I would say there was some – I know, like, just looking at late in the game, we was bad with tackling for sure. We had a lot of broken tackles. Yes. So that would be my bad was the broken tackles. I've seen – it was like – and like the run was getting out on the perimeter – to where we really couldn't get to the guy that was picking up some crucial yards. That if we take those, if the defense make their tackles and bring the running back down behind the line of scrimmage and not letting them pick up 5-6 yards here, that's a different ball game going into the fourth quarter. We get off the field and it just tackling. And I know it's some guy. I know like if I'm looking at the game. Noah was playing his heart out, and he was just—you can tell that he was playing his heart out. And I looked at the roster today. I didn't know Noah gained as many pounds as he did, and you can see it though. He's 240,
he's big,
he's huge, he's massive, but he's still massive. Noah. And it's just some of the tackles that he kind of like he over pursued him in a way that tackle, like I know Noah, that tackle should have. A lot of the tackles that he over pursued, that's a routine play for Noah. Yeah. And I think he was just trying. I think he was 1 or 2 steps ahead, trying to make sure he was there 1 or 2 steps ahead. So and he missed a few.
Mm-hmm. But he had no tackles for loss, but he was so close to making.
He was there. He was there for all the tackles that should have been lost. Noah was there, and it was just like I said. Like the bad was just the tackle. We had bad tackles. I mean, you seen that I know thinking back on the game, I've seen some of the guys, for one, they was all swarming to the ball when they did get there. And when you see them swarm to the ball, all right, you see that they really tackle. But when like you had that one tackle on the perimeter, that one guy that he made the tackle, you gotta wrap him up. And then your buddy's coming to help you, but we were just missing him like on the perimeter, and that was killing us.
That was tough. Grant, what is your bad?
Yeah, just leading off those missed tackles, just not being able to get off the field in those key situations, right? Making sure not having to match score for score, especially leading off the game. You get 2 guys beat on the flea flicker, a double move, which leads to West Georgia's first score. Then obviously at the Hail Mary at the end of the first half too, that was 2 big points in the game right there, especially you just had the bad interception by Quincy in the end zone and said, okay, settle down, everything's going to be fine. And then they go back and get that Hail Mary to make it a 26-14 game. It just took all the momentum out of, especially right there, Samford was driving down the field. So I think it's just the defense's inability to get off the field was a big reason why Samford couldn't match score for score.
That Hail Mary was one of the worst play we had.
I didn't.
Let's play. Here we go. We have it. So I would like us to all watch the incredible defensive effort here in the end zone. Don't close your eyes. You'll miss it. So, wow, look at all those guys making a play for the ball. Wait, no. Nobody made a play for the ball. Like, what was that? What was that? That doesn't even happen in NCAA. Like, you can't even get that on the video game.
Yeah.
But sure enough, there it is. 44-yard bomb. Yeah.
When I saw that, I was like, in my head, I know I looked at you, Sam, in the press box. I said, no way.
No way. No way.
No way this happened. I said, there's no way that we absolutely gave up and I was just so I mean, I went back to when I was playing at Samford, and that was the football gods was with was with these guys for sure.
Yes, dude, so, that play of all the plays,
the football guy,
and the interception on the incredible drive before that with Quincy, like
that guy was like,
that guy just appears out of nowhere, you know?
Yeah, Quincy, and I mean, it was incredible. Like, I don't know where he came from. Like, I had no clue.
Well, actually, I see. So, all right. So we're showing the play on YouTube. It's not the defensive player took a risk there. There was a 32 should have been thrown the ball because the defender left 32 to just stay put.
Yeah,
and it was just a little bit ill-timed. That defender should not have been there.
He was.
If he waits one more sec, because he had to follow 32, but he didn't.
Yeah, it was going to be a tight window too, even without him there, and still, not beating on. They're not jumping Willoughby in front of him, but staying there, and
that's
kind of baiting Quincy into that throw right there.
Yeah, because it also kind of looks like it's a zone. Because you watching this play, it looks like another guy was dropping back there to cover where number 5 was going to be going to.
Yeah, it was definitely a zone. So that guy, I think what it is right here is 37 supposed to like get a hand on 32, to reroute him, and reroute him to number 5, and number 5 just saw it. I think Quincy was trying to fit in a tight window to DJ right there, and I can see where he was going. I could see his mindset. It's like, all right, it's a tight window. I gotta stick it there instantly. But that guy, he appeared. That was a pretty decent play by number 5. I wouldn't say that was. If it was late in the season, I would say number 5 watched film. He didn't watch film on that play.
Yeah.
He just took a risk.
He got lucky.
He took a risk and gambled on that play. He guessed on that play. And then sometimes in football, you got to take a gamble. Sometimes they turn out into something like this. And sometimes they'll hurt you. So, and this was a good gamble that he took right here. And it was a killer.
That was tough.
Because if we score right here, it's a different ball game for sure.
Different ball game. And honestly, this is just put this together, but my bad was the offensive line. And a situation like this illustrates it. So Quincy was our run game last night. Mm-hmm. DeMonta played fine. Micah played fine. Like the running backs played fine. There was never really a good hole. But what really showed was our lack of ability to move bodies when it mattered on the goal line. My gosh, we made them look like some defensive stalwarts there when it came to the goal line. No one was getting moved. And so in a situation like that, with a minute 50, you think Hatcher really wants to sit there and be throwing the ball? No, he wants to be running the ball, 3 plays, touchdown, and that kills probably 45 to a minute to going into halftime, right? But instead, we had 2, I know for a fact, 2 red zone opportunities before that where they were really tough. One of them we had to do 4th and goal, or that might have come in the third quarter. I might be mixing a few, but the point still stands. There was not enough confidence in the offensive line to run the ball in those short yardage situations to get what we needed. I mean, that's what's crazy. Quincy's not throwing that ball if our offensive line was able to push around what ended up being, I guess, a good defensive line. I don't know.
And we had all 3 timeouts.
Interesting.
Yeah, had all 3 timeouts, so there's no need to hurry and pressure. Time was still on our side, and they led to that in the first half, trying to battle your way into the end zone on those goal-to-go situations. The only pass that we threw on those situations was the swing to Witherspoon, which he scored on, and then everything else was just powering in and trying to find a way to get pressure inside that interior defensive line.
Against a team like West Georgia, now granted, we went through last week and at the preview we went through their transfers and their roster, and we saw guys, like we saw athletes, okay? We saw dudes who we knew could make plays. Did not expect, especially on the defensive line and linebacker core, to make that many plays. So I put the offensive line as a bad. I'm afraid that they're going to stay as a bad the entire season. We'll see. West Georgia's front 7 is not going to be the best front 7 we see. 3 more. I'm thinking Mercer, UTC, Western Carolina, are all going to have better front sevens than West Georgia did. And then it wouldn't shock me if someone else along the way does as well. Florida, obviously, not including them. But that was a point of concern. So yeah, let's get to the ugly.
All right.
Curious, Tay, what you thought was ugly.
Well, I mean, I know we said my bad was tackling. So my ugly would still be, I would say, the first half defense. Our first half defense, we looked like we couldn't. Like we were
low hanging fruit. They scored every possession.
That's what I'm saying. So like we were still on the bus. Like we left our football game on the bus. So I know, like I said, the first half defense was for sure the ugly. Like I know me and you was looking at it was 4 for 4 at one point on third down convergence. Like they was continuing drives. So like you got
quarter,
on those, So on those third down, that's the money down. That's when you get off the field, you get your offense on the field, you give your offense a chance to score. And like it leads into that I'm looking at the stats now. They had 456 yards of total offense, which is pretty. That's almost that's pretty high. I would say, and that's a lot. And Samford had 465 yards of total offense, so it's a lot. And it's just
go look at the time of possession, Tay. Tell me the time of possession.
Let's see.
I'll just clue you in. It was a 10-minute.
They had 30-minute
difference.
Yeah, so they had 34. 34. Hey, what? 34 minutes. 34 minutes. So that's And we had the ball 25 minutes of the game. So
that ain't good.
And I mean, one good thing that I can look at. Samford was 4 for 4 on fourth down conversion, so that's pretty good. And
should we be getting?
Nope. And then also with them, another thing that I'm looking at is their red zone. Their red zone chances. They was 3 for 3, so that was 100% in the red zone. Those are crucial moments. Yeah, those are crucial moments. You get those. You get that. If they 0 for 3 in the red zone with red zone chances and scores, that's 9 points. That's 9 points instead of 21.
Yeah.
So that's another one, and it's just. I would say it was the first half defense because I mean they finished the game 8 of 16 on third down conversion, so it was definitely that first half.
It's weird, when you look at the stats. Obviously, the turnovers for us stand out because they didn't. I think they didn't have any. Check me on that, but. Yeah, you look at the stats, and for the most part, this is a game on paper of evenly matched teams, which is not what we were expecting. And I think the hardest – this is getting ahead of ourselves, so I'll wait. But that's not what I was expecting. And I'm not sure – because the weird thing is this came down to turnovers and time of possession. I mean, you look at how they would drive down, and it would take 6-7 minutes touchdown. Just those were our middle school or our freshman year high school coach. He was a Green Beret in the military, helicopter pilot in the first Iraq War, absolute stud. He would call it turning the knife. They turned the knife because we had the opportunity there in the third quarter to take hold of that game, right? We forced 3 straight punts, but what did we do? We punted once, fumbled the other time, and I think we got a touchdown on the first punt. But we had an opportunity to take control of the game, failed to do it. They got the opportunity back and took it from us. So, Grant, what was your ugly?
Yeah, just to build off what Tay was talking about, that second drive that took 6.5 minutes, 13 plays, 75 yards. They had a 3rd and 2. They converted a 3rd and 2, a 3rd and 3, a 3rd and 5, and then they scored on 2nd and 14. So yeah, just their inability to get out the field in those situations. The ugly, we kind of talked about it already, but the Hail Mary at the end, that obviously can't happen, right? Especially, it doesn't matter whether the interception happened before, just something like that just kills you, especially playing on the road for sure in a new environment, team playing their first FCS game. So we kind of already talked about it and walked through the play, but I think the Hail Mary at the end of the first half was my ugly for sure, especially when you kind of lost that momentum after the interception. Then you just had that piled on top of that going into the halftime break.
Grant, I'm glad you found something very specific. I I appreciate that. Because my ugly was just the defensive line. We hear all offseason Braithwaite's defense. It's a 4-man front. We're all excited because every fan base in America who goes from a 3-man front to a 4-man front magically thinks that their D linemen all of a sudden become NFL stars and we're getting pressure on the edge or on the interior every play. That did not happen. If you can get pressure with 3, or if you cannot get pressure with 3, there's no guarantee you can get pressure with 4. And last night we really only saw pressure when we would bring 6. When Braithwaite would send that basically all out blitz, single man coverage, we looked great. But when it was only 4, I mean, because we had Josh on the show and we were drinking the Kool-Aid Josh was pouring, right? And he and that D-line group have a lot to prove after this game because what we saw last night was them basically getting manhandled by what we thought was supposed to be Division II offensive line. Turned out to be pretty darn good. So that was my ugly because a lot of those getting off the field on third down, giving up 450 yards on defense, a lot of that begins and ends with the D-line. And that's just football. You cannot have a good defense with a bad D-line. Those two do not go together. So that units has got to improve.
Yeah, with me being a defensive lineman, I totally agree. A good defensive line, you have a good team. So it's, I would say, and I mean, looking like I know some of those guys that are on that defensive line, some of those guys was there, came in when I was there. They was young guys, and they're still there, and they're older guys, and they've actually grown a lot. And it's I know what they are capable of doing.
Sure.
And last night, they really. Yeah, they have in my opinion, this defensive line, the amount of depth that they have on that defensive line they have more depth than we had when we was there. We had some key guys and key moments and some good defensive linemen, but those guys that are there now, once it click, once it click, I got faith that those guys, we got some guys on that defense line that are going to stand out once everything click and we get actual pressure. And that's what that's one thing I didn't mention was that in the pass rush, it was lacking. It was lacking in the pass rush. We didn't have as many as I would think pass rush. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Late in the game, Grant, you was there with me. Some of their pass rush should have been holding calls, but living in the SoCon, playing this game, been in the SoCon,
it ain't gonna get better.
You're not getting holding calls, especially the Samford Bulldogs. You're not getting holding calls in the SoCon. So it's just something that you got to live with. And I know, I'll be honest with you, they'll throw all the holding calls on our offense, but when our defense is out there, we gotta basically get, I don't know, manhandled, put in the chokehold to get a holding call as a defensive lineman at Samford University in the SoCon. So
we got to be thrown down.
I would give them grace on some of their pass rushes that they was getting held. I know some guys who was getting some pressure here and there. I know, on the sack.
We made some nice plays in the run game. I mean, we made a few really nice tackles on the D-line in the run game.
Oh, yeah. And I know, Thomas Neville transitioned from linebacker to a defensive end and getting a sack in his first game was pretty – he just gave tremendous effort and he got there and got him one. So that was pretty good. And I know you brought up the blitzes that Coach Braithwaite that he sent. He sent some amazing blitzes.
The blitzes got home.
He sent some those blitzes that he was sending. I was like, yeah, he's bringing the house. And I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I was probably getting a little ahead of myself, but I'm pretty sure that we'll see a lot more of that.
Yeah.
On third down, I think we'll see a lot more of that.
Because we made that quarterback look a little too poised when we were not bringing the blitz. But as soon as we did
bring it, I think he
throw it in the dirt or get sacked. It ended well for us more often than it didn't.
Our force of bad throw, literally everything. When you generate pressure, first half he was basically sitting back there. Let's hit a 5 yard out here, 6 yard out here. In the second half, he had a little bit more pressure on him and try to find a way to make a play. But yeah.
All right. So I know we all kind of want to get to what this means. So let's give our offensive player of the game and defensive player of the game first, and then we'll get to what this means for the season. What did this game tell us? What do we need to expect? So, offensive player of the game, Grant, shoot it.
I'll stick with Brendan Jenkins. I think I know where Tay might go, but I'll stick with Brendan. 4 catches, 81 yards, the big TD to kind of get momentum back on Samford's side. Needed number one wide receiver, and he certainly looks like he's going to be right there, especially with him, DJ, Cousin, and EJ, kind of the top 4 receivers right now.
Yeah. Tay?
Well, I mean, you took Brendan,
Yeah.
so I'm going to roll with Quincy.
Yeah, there we go.
And, you can't have Brendan without Quincy. So, I mean, Quincy was, in this first game, Quincy had a total of, he gave us 4 touchdowns, 2 in the air, 2 on the ground.
Casual.
So, he gave us 100 rushing yards, 302 passing yards, 24-41, which is pretty decent. I think it's like 59%. So, he's over 50% in completion. And it's just, I went with Quincy. I mean, we do have some the receiver. He do have a receiver core that I think is probably one of the best receiver cores that has been. Like that starting receiving core with DJ, EJ, and Mike, and Brendan.
Mm-hmm.
I love seeing DJ and Mike. I love seeing DJ and Mike inside. That was I like that matchup because I don't think nobody can guard those guys inside playing in the slot. Brendan Jenkins, he was a stud when he got the center. He'll be a stud.
Yeah,
he's that man. EJ is a Mississippi guy, so me and him have a little different relationship. EJ is a Mississippi guy, like right there, like near each other, like same.
He looked good last night.
No, EJ is a ball player.
Yeah.
EJ has the potential to be, in reality, coming out of high school. EJ was supposed to be an SEC receiver. I'm not sure. I don't really know what happened with like his whole like recruiting class and stuff like that. But EJ has some like major offers coming out of high school. I think he was like committed to Kentucky at one point. He had like Kentucky.
Huh.
He had some. And I knew about EJ in high school because just seeing like high school football in Mississippi, EJ is actually a guy.
So really, we have 3 SEC receivers: DJ, former walk-on at Bama. EJ could have been, and then Brendan, a future one. Should I say that? Or
hey.
Brendan he has the potential of one, but he's a Samford Bulldog, and Brendan gonna stay a Samford Bulldog.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's keep the Samford Bulldog. Just I don't even want to speak on that because
no.
Somebody gonna try to do it. And it's just I don't know. I hate college football.
Like the way he plays, it's just different. You know, he's not the fastest, he's not the biggest, but he's fast enough. He's big enough to be as good as anybody out there. But the way he finds space, the way he consistently catches the ball, I mean, dude's a stud.
So humble. He's so humble.
Yeah, we love that guy. Hey, I'm with you.
See, with my pick, I just wanted to make sure our new host felt welcome, so I knew he was going to go with Quincy, so I want to go somewhere just to set you up for Quincy to go, oh, yeah, Quincy's my player of the year. That's the part of the game.
Look at that. That's a virtue signaling.
I'm just a team player right here. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm with you, Tay. I got Quincy. Quincy has been a fan favorite. We love Quincy. And whenever it was his time to shine, you're always a little nervous. You're like, all right, look, it's his first real start, getting first team reps throughout most of the offseason, or at least splitting them with Nick, as far as we know. And we just weren't sure what was going to happen, right? We weren't sure if he was going to go 10 for 30 and 100 yards, 2 picks and 1 touch. Like, you just had no idea. Mm-hmm. But the fact that he had 100 yards rushing, 300 yards passing, absolute dog out there against a defense that we noted in the secondary had some athletes, and they did. They had some absolute animals out there on in the secondary. And the D-line, as we came to find out, was better than we thought, and a linebacker core that was serviceable. So against a pound for pound, what looked to be an above or average to above average FCS defense, we'll see how the season plays out. But right now, based on what we saw on the defensive side, Quincy looked as good as we could have hoped for, which is awesome. So defensive player of the game. Tay, let's hear it.
Defensive player of the game. I'm going to have to go back, and I'm going to go with Jaden Mosley, Black. So
I feel like we're on the same page here. Keep going.
So he finished the game with 10 total tackles,
Yep.
1.5 tackle for loss,
Yep.
a sack, and he also had a forced fumble. It's not on the stat sheet, but he had a forced fumble. He was Black is one of the guys that I know for sure. It's like Black was he came in as a safety, got moved down from the safety position into the box, and he's actually living being a linebacker. And Black is a tremendous athlete, and he's that core with those two. It was 33 and 32. That was back there, and then now it's 33 and 5 because Noah he got the number 5 jersey. But I know, like I said, I know he's still 32 in some way. 3 + 2 = 5. I know he's still he's number 5. So he's 30. So he's 35. So he's 32 in one way. But Noah,
I love that.
That was his Instagram caption too. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, 3 + 2 = 5. That's a perfect caption, Noah. Good job.
Oh yeah, it was just those guys. Those two guys. I feel like this season those two guys gonna feed off each other a lot.
Yep.
Seeing those guys lead the team. Noah finished the game with 11 tackles, and Black finished the game with 10. Noah finished with 11 and over pursued probably 5 to 6.
He could have
finished the game probably. He could have had probably close to 20 if he didn't over pursue some of the ones that he did. So it's just I had to go with Jaden Mosley for defense play the game.
Grant,
I was going to say the exact same thing, so I'm glad we're all on the same page. 10 tackles, 1.5 TFLs, like you said, Tay, a sack also. Yeah, Jaden Mosley.
It's funny, even going back to last year, if there's a big play on defense, it's one or two names, Noah or Jaden. And I know that last year, especially, the defense was designed to funnel the plays to the linebackers. But last night, you got 4 D linemen who could have made plays, but it was still Jaden back there making a lot of the big play. I mean, there was only a handful, but a lot of the big plays on defense. And he knows how to find the ball, behind the line of scrimmage, and just love watching that guy play. So, with that said, we lose to West Georgia. We were 17 to 19-point favorites, depending on what book you were looking at. Mm-hmm. Obviously, heavily favored. We lose the game. Okay, it's the transfer portal era. You never really know who you're going to play until you do in the first few games, right? Until everybody has some tape. This West Georgia team, I think a lot of it is they were underrated. They brought in a lot of talented pieces. The quarterback played well. Coach is good. Scheme is good. They're going to have what looks to be a winning season if they can execute on that level. They're also clicking, right? There's certain games where teams just play well the entire time, and that kind of felt like West Georgia last night. But with that said, you lose an FCS game, right? This is a playoff. This is a game that's in the playoff committee's minds in about 14 weeks. Going forward, how do we view Samford? How do we view the remaining non-con? I mean, where do we go from here? Grant, we'll start with you.
I think the offense is going to be fine. I think the offense, they're going to figure it out. The line will figure it out. We got enough skill guys. Quincy's calm and settled enough, minus the 1 interception he threw, but still played pretty well for his first career start on the road. But I think we got to go more toward the defense, right? A new coordinator we talked about in the offseason coming in. How quickly does this defense become, quote, more attacking in their mind? How quickly do they change, and how quickly do those third down conversion rate change? They find a way to get off the field. So I think the offense will be fine. It's just about the defense and how well the defense will improve, especially with their new coordinator and some new players with the good mix of guys like Noah and Jaden that we had coming back from last year.
Okay.
So, I mean, looking at it, I know going forward, I have faith that this game was basically a wake-up call for them. To be like, all right, our season is – I mean, they got hit. It was a smack in the face to let them know, like, hey, we got to come to play every week. I mean, Samford, being in the SoCon, you got to play every week. You can't just – I know before we even get the conference play, but I know we had some good opponents that's up, like, that's down the road. We got Florida. Then we have Alabama State. Alabama State was I think, ranked number 1 in the SWAC. So you have the number 1 SWAC team coming as your first home game. So I just know I have faith that they will, that everything will start clicking. I know if I was still there coaching right now, a big emphasis that would be a hit at practice for the defense would be tackling to make sure that they're making sure they're tackled. So I know that that's going to be a major thing that's going to shift, and it's going to help them out, and it's going to help them get better on the defensive side of the ball. So I wouldn't panic right now on the outlook of the season. So it's just once it click and they get hot, they need to get hot quick and hot fast. So hopefully they go into Florida and they get their confidence back. I mean, you play an SEC team, you go in there, you hang in with an SEC team. All right, now you're looking like, all right. Hey, even if I'm looking for them to go and upset Florida, so I want them to upset Florida. I was there. I went down last time I went to Florida. We should have upset Florida, but hey, it was. I know
we should have. We put 42 up in the half.
You take one or two plays, and you take one or two plays that we can have back that game. We get off the field on I think two or three third downs on that defense in Florida.
Just pick one in the first half.
And we give the offense the ball back, and with Montreal and Liam clicking like that.
It was over.
I'm telling you right now, we upset Florida in the swamp in 2020. So I'm looking like, all right, we still got the momentum. We go down there and we let all bullets fly. With
what momentum do we have?
I mean, we get
just
the
got
momentum.
our clocks cleaned by West Georgia.
No, we gonna listen. Offense have a little. Offense got a little momentum, so they go down there and they just let all bullets fly and score points. And score points and defense. Hey, defense, you gotta go in. Defense, listen. Defense, you just go in and play ball. Don't play that. Not that first half defense, but the second half defense.
I'm gonna
come on.
This thought just popped in my mind. You know what the number one role of most coaches are in college is recruiting. Hey, why didn't you recruit some better talent for the defense? My gosh.
Hey, there's some talent on the
there is. They gotta. They might have to shine a little bit and get the rust off.
They brought some guys. I mean, I would say some of those guys that we brought in, like coming in from JUCO, that was their first actually like Division I football game. So that's just like it's the jitters of like being a Division.
It was also West Georgia's first Division I football game,
and they also had a little but they was living in the hype.
You're right, man. You're right. That's the.
It was living. It was
the perfect storm. And I know I'm making excuses here.
It was the perfect
a little homerism, but when you are playing a team with that kind of magnitude of the game, right? It's their first FCS game. Big moment for the program, big moment for the university. Fans are behind them. You got all these young, hungry players coming in from the transfer portal from wherever. A lot of good schools on that West Georgia roster. And they frankly just clicked a little bit sooner than they probably should have. And we were left holding the bag with a slow start, with a shaky offense in the second half. A few plays here, there. We win the game if you take the Hail Mary away and we don't throw the pick in the end zone. We're literally 2 plays away from winning that game comfortably. And unfortunately, that is the rest. That's going to be the story of the rest of our season is, are we going to make those 2 or 3 plays to win us the game? We could have last year, several games. But are we going to? And I'm going to stay positive. I love Quincy. Quincy's a baller. And if you have a dynamic quarterback, the sky is always the limit. He can overcome basically anything. And he had his chances, and we didn't do it, right? Like our offense sputtered in the third quarter, offense sputtered in the fourth. But game in, game out, Quincy's going to come on top more often than not. Defense just needs to be good enough, Just needs to be good enough.
I'm a defensive minded person. Mm-hmm. I know that year we won the SoCon. I mean, we weren't perfect on defense.
I was about to say that Mercer game. They only put up 45 points.
We weren't perfect on on defense. So the motto of being a defensive-minded person is you hold them to scoring less points than your offense.
Facts.
And no matter how many points they can score, and for your offense, and your offense job is to go out there and score more points than their offense. So you just got to hold them to. I like to say it like this: with the hatch attack gonna put up 21, 28 every game. No matter ever since he's been here, ever since I've seen, he's gonna put up 28 points at least to over 21 points. You don't let a team that you play score over 20 points, you win a football game.
Oh,
here
automatic L or win. We're like undefeated last year, Tay. If we didn't let a team score 20 points,
that's what I'm saying. You don't let a team score
21
points. So that's the thing. You don't let a team score 21 points.
But Tay, how much of that
offense?
Okay, but all right. So to counter the hatch attack a little bit, because look, last night, what sadly the best looking drive was when Quincy threw the pick in the end zone. I mean,
that's when they got it
rolling.
Yeah, well, I know a lot of our. I think I was Peyton mentioned this. He was like, our tempo wasn't as like it's normally. Like your tempo is normally. All right, you get the ball, complete, get up, get it, roll.
Let's go, yeah.
And he was trying to get the tempo. When he was down on the sideline, you could hear him like, "Come on, let's roll." He's trying to get the tempo up. I mean, once the offense started clicking and they get in their tempo, no team in America can withstand that tempo. But I hated that tempo.
Yeah,
I hated that tempo.
You know, when we were looking at the drive charts, and West Georgia had a 6-minute touchdown drive, 5-minute touchdown drive. When you don't have a strong defense, you want to limit the amount of time your defense is actually on the field. And the hatch attack is efficient. But why can't we make it efficient and ball controlling? You know, why do we have, like, our touchdown drives, they were 70 yards in 2 minutes, 70 yards in a minute 45. If we make that, literally, if we make that 4 minutes, not even 6 minutes, if we just make it 4 minutes, that's 2 minutes less time that our defense is out there. 2 minutes more time, they get a rest. I don't think that the no huddle masks weaknesses on offense and exacerbates issues on defense.
So was a big.
That's a problem when you don't have a good defense.
Yeah, and I know before Coach Boone came in, I think it was like one of my years. That was a big thing. Our defense was probably leading the nation in like time on the field.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was good, but I mean, it's just so like you had like one thing that we had to find was a defense that able to limit that we able to be on the field, and that's when you have to have the depth on defense. So like looking at Samford now, the depth that they have on defense is tremendous. They have a lot of depth.
They do. We played.
They have a lot of
29 players or something last night.
They got and they have more that
not just on defense, but total.
So, I know, and every single on defense they have guys that with depth in places that are pretty good, and that's built to withstand this whole that tempo. So that's with Coach Hatcher. So like, I mean, you got to have depth if you're gonna be able to with the no huddle tempo.
After the Jenkins touchdown, we had our drives were 38 seconds, 3 plays, punt, fumble 3 plays a minute, punt a minute and a half, punt 4 plays a minute and 20. So it just goes back to the short drives.
That's right there.
Yeah, and DJ had that fumble in the third quarter, which Western I think missed the field goal after that. Still, or I can't remember after that, but still shorter drives after the first touchdown that you didn't score on in the second half.
Yeah. All right, boys.
Sam, there's a point that I'm gonna hit one point that you said about West Georgia transfers. I was thinking about it. West Georgia has been transfer central for decades.
Really?
Before this,
makes sense. Your DT school.
It's basic. I think West Georgia are one of those schools like a second chance for a lot of guys because a lot of guys they get have either got in trouble at bigger schools. So West Georgia, that's why West Georgia always had talent. So I remember Coach Cotton when he came to Central, he was telling us, he's like, West Georgia have a bunch of guys that was like second chances. Like it was all right, it was your last stop before you couldn't play college football no more. So they're always been pretty good with getting transfers there. So
they're used to melding those teams, is what.
They're used to getting transfers from everywhere. So that's why I haven't even looked at their roster. Who did they have transfers from where? I know you said they have a few big schools. A few big schools with guys transferring.
Quarterbacks from Ole Miss.
And I'll be honest with you, a lot of those guys that are transferring in probably have had some playing time at those bigger schools too.
Some of them did, yeah. Some of them did.
Something probably happened. You never know what happened with some of those guys. They get in trouble somehow.
Honestly, you just want the guys that flunked out because you can always coach somebody up for the books. That is, you can teach anyone how to get a passing grade.
Yeah, that happens with some of the guys as well. Like that comes in, and that's it's one of those schools that, like I said, basically I said, like it's a second chance school for those guys.
Yeah. Well, they. Based on what we saw last night, if this is their first game in the FCS, they're going to be a scary contender. But we'll see. We got Florida next week. Next week's post game should be hopefully a little bit more boring, a little bit less to talk about because hopefully, assuming we don't see the biggest upset in college football history.
If I'm telling you, the show next week, I'm calling it with the upset of beating Florida as a Samford alumni. The show next week probably an hour and 30 because we're gonna have a whole lot.
If we upset Florida, we will have the show live on the field after the game.
I was just about to say the same thing. Yeah, if we win, we're doing it right there.
We're doing it right there in Big Hill Griffin Stadium. We're doing it in front of the Tebow statue. I mean, my gosh, like
right then and there.
You know, Tay, what I love is even when we don't have Jeb on here, Jeb is always the one throwing out crap like that. He called Western Carolina beating Arkansas in basketball a year too early, but he called it. So I love that we still have those takes. We'll have Florida next week. You'll get another dose of the West Georgia commentary on our regular show that'll be released on Wednesday. But enjoy Labor Day tomorrow. We will move on from West Georgia. There are brighter things to come for this football team. Quincy is at the helm, so no need to fear. State of the Bulldogs is out. Tay, thank you. We will catch you next week. Grant, catch you on Wednesday.
StateOftheBulldogs.com.